So let's get started with managing your references with Zotero. And I always have a problem. There we go. So to give you a bit of an idea of how Mentimeter works, you can engage with different questions that I have on the screen in front of you. So I was hoping that those of you who have joined Mentimeter, if you could just throw in what college, faculty, or school are you connected to? And let me know where you're from. I know you did this during registration, but the number of people I get, oh, hi, Asper, excellent. The number of people I get during the sessions always changes, and I'm always curious to know where people are coming from. Community health sciences are heavy users of this kind of software, that's for sure. Grad studies, lots of grad studies. Anything else? Cool. We do have some Rady people. Hi. Excellent. Thanks very much. My next question is, what citation management software have you tried, if any? So feel free to pick. I haven't tried any, and this is your first try at this. Again, it just helps me to know where people are coming from, so I can help you make connections between software you might have used before and Zotero. So we do have some Zotero users. Great. You may be taking this for the second time, in which case, hopefully I'll give you interesting stuff. Oh, economics and design and planning architecture. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Cool. Thanks for playing along. Wow, a good number. Excellent. And my last question before we get started was, why do you want to use Zotero? What's driving you? Everybody comes to these things with something in mind. And I'd like to know, and feel free to share, what you're interested in. So research writing, absolutely. Any big problems that you're trying to solve? Trying to organize my notes better. That is a big one. Organize references for your thesis, yeah. Updating your references automatically, that's a very nice part of Zotero. Gotcha. EndNote was less intuitive than I hoped. Hal and I are both giggling in the background because yes, that's very true. Cool. Thanks for contributing. That's really helpful. Very similar reasons. That's neat. Okay, good. Let's get started then. So all of the content for this workshop is on the Zotero Researcher Workshop Library Guide. Hal's going to pop that link in the chat, but if you're on menti.com and following along with this presentation, you should just be able to click on this link and it will open up the library guide. For me, this one is the one that I want you to focus on. And literally, I will be walking you through this guide and using different examples. And Hal's popped that link into the chat now for you. So if you want to follow along, please feel free to do so. Today, what I'm hoping you will get out of it is that you will learn the benefits of using Zotero as a citation management tool. So this is kind of like the big overview kind of information. Understand the layout and organizational tools in Zotero, and there are many. And import references into Zotero using the Zotero connector, RIS files, and drag and drop. RIS files is something that I might leave off because most people don't use that as a method of getting content into Zotero. They use largely the Zotero connector and drag and drop, but we'll see how far we go. And then learn the MS Word plugin for Zotero to create in-text citations and bibliographies, which is probably what most of you are keenly interested in. So from a large overview, most citation managers can do the following things. They can help you save references and PDFs in one location. And for me, it's not just about the citation, it's the PDF as well. I like having one well-organized location for all of my PDFs, and that way it's easy for me to find them. I can organize references in groups or folders. You can cite references in text. So as you're writing your document, you can include in-text citations using the citation style of your choice. You can also use most citation managers to actually annotate your PDFs and help you keep track of the notes for the readings that you have done. You can also share your references with colleagues and collaborators. And when we're thinking specifically about Zotero, there are a few benefits. I think the most important one is that it's an open source software. And for the most part, it's free-ish, kind of, sort of. I can go into where costs come in as we kind of go along. Another thing I like about Zotero is it allows you to use the desktop software for offline use, meaning you don't have to be connected to the internet in order to get it to work and function. And some of the other software requires an internet connection. There's lots of useful integrations. My favorite one is Zotfile, but you can also integrate it with Google Docs and Better BibTeX. So if you are a science user and you're familiar with BibTeX, then you might find that a really interesting tool to use. So very broadly, Zotero requires that you have a free account so that you can then sync to multiple devices. You don't have to have an account to download the software. So you can download the software and use it offline. You don't have to have another account if you don't want it. But if you're like me and I'm moving from device to device, so it could be my cell phone, my tablet, my laptop, or a desktop computer, or a public access computer in the library, I want to be able to move seamlessly from one device to another, and that sync does require a free account. So you need to set that up if you haven't already done so. There's two parts to Zotero. There is the Zotero desktop, which is a free download, like I mentioned, that allows you to work offline and sync when internet is available if you have a free account along with that. And there's a Zotero web. Now, Zotero web is really interesting because you can work, and some of you do work, almost exclusively in a browser environment. So you can use Zotero web to kind of support that working workflow. But if you want to use Zotero along with Microsoft Office 365 Word in a browser environment, it doesn't work so well. So you have to download the software and you have to use Word on your desktop with Zotero on your desktop to get that integration working smoothly between Zotero and Microsoft Word. So hopefully that answers some questions. Zotero Web, you need to interact with this if you're talking about creating groups and sharing. So most people, though, I find don't use this particular feature. Often this might be if you're a grad student and you want to share your citations with a faculty member and want them to have the ability to either add in citations into your Zotero group or maybe contribute annotations to your Zotero PDFs, then you might want to have a group then. But it depends, again, what is your workflow and how do you want it supported? You can also access your library by clicking on Web Library tab. So this is one thing that I found kind of confusing with the Zotero free account. You log into Zotero, it tells you, this is me, I'm logged in, but how do I get to my library? And this is where your web library is. And if I want to, I can click on that and then interact with my web library. So tools, there are two tools that you need to download and install to get Zotero to work really well. The first one is the Zotero connector, which is your browser plugin tool. Mine is kind of lurking right up here, and you will see that I've got a little flag saying save to Zotero, embedded metadata has access to this site. So that's my little plugin. There are plugins you can click on through this download link, or if you're on the Zotero workshop page, you can click under Setup into the browser connectors. And whatever browser you are using, when you click on that, it will prompt you to download and install the plugin. So you should try and give that a shot. And then there's instructions and the ability to download the Zotero word processor integration. Now, what should happen with your installation is Zotero should have already set up a connection with your Word. So if you've downloaded the Zotero desktop, it should also already have installed with Word. But if it hasn't, there's a way to kind of push that. A little bit about Zotero desktop layout and organization. This is pretty tiny, but I like this image, and that's why it's also on our webpage. So if you want to, kind of expand it for yourself, you can certainly go and have a look at that. But I think what the most important pieces are is your Zotero desktop is kind of split into 3 sections. So the first one is your libraries and collections. That's this off to the left-hand side. You will find any organizational folders you've developed, any tags. It's kind of tucked in behind this libraries and collections page, little note. You will find that there, so it helps you navigate around through your library. This center panel is your collection contents. So whenever I click on something, so for example, my library, it's going to show me whatever is contained. So my library will show me the entirety of my library. A particular collection or folder will show me just what's in that folder. So that's what this pane does. This other one shows me the citation information. So it's calling it item metadata. That's basically author, title, source, pagination, volume, issue, dates, that sort of thing is what we mean when we refer to item metadata. So if I select one of these things in the contents area, collection contents area, it will display the information here. You can't see it, but I will show you on my Zotero. You'll see these little tabs for notes, tags, and related. Those are all things that you can use to help you organize yourself and your thoughts with regards to your citations. Some of the most important things we'll be going over today is how to get content in, and that involves a lot of these little wee tiny tools up here just above the content collection contents. So this is where you add a new item, add an item by identifier. You can create a new note if that's important to you. You can add an attachment if you're struggling with grabbing a PDF. You can also search your entire Zotero library to see what's available to you. And there's a number of ways that you can do that. So those are the big things that I want you to think about with this navigation and structure. So let's get into doing things, and we're going to import references using the Zotero connector. You can, if you have not set up your Zotero yet and you're not convinced about whether or not this is the tool for you, you can just watch and I'll do a demonstration, but if you want to follow along, please feel free to do so. And if you get stuck, let me know. Okay. And yes, the recording's on. So the first thing you have to worry about is to locate the item to import using your browser. You click the Zotero connector and then check the reference required and then select the collection from My Library drop-down menu. The important thing to note, though, is that your Zotero connector icon changes depending on what's being displayed on the page. The most common ones are the folder, which indicates that there's multiple references that you could choose from and import into your Zotero. So if you are a health sciences person and you're using PubMed, or if you are using, say, Academic Search Complete or any one of the other University of Manitoba libraries databases, if you do a search and display the references, if you look up in your little Zotero connector, it will display a folder. If it's an article and has a citation attached to it, it will look like a little text document. If you're looking at a PDF, it should show you the standardized little Adobe Acrobat Reader PDF icon. And if it's a book, it'll look like a little blue book. There's other ones, like this one obviously looks a little bit different. What this tells me is that it's looking at this as a web page. So that's what that little icon means. So I'm going to go and click on examples to try, and this is going to get me to the Zotero workshop page. If you're just navigating there on your own from the link that you're using, just go down to using the Zotero connector. And here are the steps, and here are some examples I'm going to use. So I'm going to bring in Cooke. I'm just going to click on this link. It'll take me to the page. And if you look here, I've got that little icon showing as a text document. So that means I'm going to download the citation. I'm going to download this into my library, but I'm going to be very specific about where I want to save it to. I've got a training folder set up. You may or may not have something. Just put it into my library. If you don't have anything, I'll go over adding collections and folders in a minute. So it will automatically bring that information into my Zotero, and then I can have a look at it. Okay. So if I go into my Zotero now, show you, this is the Cooke article. It's containing the citation information. So this is my Zotero. I've got, it's got a blue background here, which is a little different from that image that we were originally looking at. I've got a number of different collections here. This is my collections information. And then this side gives me the metadata, or in this case, because it's a journal article, it's giving me the title, publication, volume, issue, pages, and so forth. Now, if I want to, see, I've got a little side arrow here. I can see what other information is attached to that particular citation. So if I check down here, I also have a PubMed Central link. So in this case, it's going to link me back to the original article. That's okay, but I kind of want to go one better. I want the actual, PDF document. I'm going to see if I can convince this to download the PDF in addition. So if I right mouse click and I click Find Available PDF from that menu, it's going to do its best to try and find an available PDF, and then it's going to attach it. So I can just hit, I've got a little green check mark, means it's found it, it's pulled it in. I'm going to hit close, and now I have this particular PDF for this article. If I want to double check it, make sure I pulled in the right one, all I have to do is double click on it, and it will open it up and let me know, and I can actually interact with it now. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. So let's get into the little bit of nitty-gritty about creating the necessary structure here. So as an example, I've got a whole bunch of different things under my library. If you've just downloaded and installed Zotero, what you might have is my library, and maybe you have that citation if you were joining me and bringing along. But that's not very helpful. Like I've got over 770 items in my Zotero at the moment. And it can grow pretty fast, especially if you're writing a thesis or you're doing research for multiple classes. Then you end up having a whole lot of chaos in your library. So it's useful to develop an organizational structure for your library. How you do that is by using these little folders here. Okay, so if I want to add a new collection, I just click on this folder, which has a little folder with a green plus sign, and it will add it to my library. So what that looks like is I'm going to add in test folder. You can name it whatever you like. You can name it training or whatever. I use the numbers because I like to control the order that things come in, and it might not necessarily be in alpha order. So that's just part of my personal folder naming convention, something I use in my regular document folders as well on my computers. So if you have something that you do regularly, use that and kind of support that. So I can click OK, and now I have a new test folder. All right. Now, your folder, like mine, might not have any content in it, and it is super easy to organize things for yourself by just dragging and dropping what you want into that particular folder. So if I go to my training folder, I can click on the citation I'm interested in, whatever I brought in, and then I can bring it into my test folder. Now, this is not creating a copy. This is just creating a reference to it. So there's only one citation, but it's showing up in multiple folders. So that's one question that I get asked quite often. So you're not, if you have this particular citation in more than one folder, it's still only one citation. It's just assigned to more than one folder. Hopefully that makes sense. So what kinds of names do you use? If you have a naming convention already that you're using for your documents, see if you can support that naming convention. If you're working on assignments for particular classes, maybe you want to use the class course number, or maybe you want to use the class course name to help you refer to that particular content. If you're writing a particular paper, I like doing things like this. So this is a folder that I set up for an example paper. What I have included in that is several subfolders. So I can just add another collection to it. I can right mouse click, hit new sub collection, and it will create a hierarchy of folders for me. So I can help, and that will help me kind of create themes on different topics if I'm interested in that. Or in this particular case, I've created folder number 1 to review. So I put all of my initial citations in that one, and I can review them. Number 2, the ones that I'm definitely going to use for my paper. The ones that maybe I'll use, maybe I don't want to use. If I can find something better, I might throw them in under maybe. And 4 are the ones that I don't want to use. I like hanging on to the ones that I don't want to use because then I know I've already looked at it. So there's a case to be made for even including things that you're not using so that you don't go back and waste your time and look at it all over again. So this is one particular method of organizing yourself. But again, this part of it is something that's unique to you. So think about what your workflow is or what you want your workflow to be and see if you can mirror that by using collections and sub-collections. Okay, There is a quick question in the chat. Don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but would it be possible to add in sources to multiple folders at once, or would that have to be done individually per folder? Perfect time. Absolutely perfect time. It's folder by folder. So, and I think you want it to be folder by folder, because if you're putting the exact same sources in multiple folders all at the same time, you could end up making a mistake. So for me, I tend to want to be a little bit more intentional. You'll notice here, maybe this is helpful. I've got a folder 000 inbox. So this stands right at the top. And I usually use this. So as I navigate around the web or different databases, I throw all of my content into there, and then I decide where I'm going to put it. So obviously I've got a few things here that I have to decide where I'm going to put. And then I try and clear out my inbox just like you would your email, and move things to where I think they should be. And if that means that they're in multiple folders, then I move them separately, individually to multiple folders. Hopefully that answers that question. It's a great one, by the way. Okay, you're welcome. All right. So that's importing references using the Zotero connector. There are a number of different examples here. They're all on the topic of writing and academic writing. So just as a side hint, you might want to just have some practice and work your way through some of these examples. Something else that Zotero will do, and I've got a little note to myself down here. So actually, I'm going to show up this. Give me either a thumbs up or thumbs down here if you have ever run into the situation where you found the perfect web page, and it's either a blog post or maybe a Government of Canada report or a web page that you just found super useful, and then you go to find it again and it's disappeared, and you wanted to cite that for something and you think it's useful. So yeah, I've got some thumbs up, some very enthusiastic amounts of thumbs up, some thumbs down. Okay, so super annoying to have that disappear on you, especially if you use that information all the time and you found it really, really valuable, right? So what Zotero does do is if you land on a web page, so say for example this one, how to write high quality papers and essays more quickly, I'll just click on that. If I land on this web page, I can actually have it save a snapshot of the web page itself so that I can come back to it and refer to it over and over again. How that looks is I can just click on this. I'm not going to put it in my inbox. I'll put it into my training. And let's go and have a look and see what that looks like. So here it is. I can use my little side caret to drop it down. Here's the snapshot. And if I double click on it, it automatically opens up what is essentially a saved copy. And you know it's a saved copy because if you look at the URL, this is coming directly from my computer and not the internet. So it's saved that copy for me. So how cool is that? That's pretty neat. And you can save it. And I like doing this because in academia, especially academic librarianship, I'm interested in things that I found a great explanation for AI or something else that I want to share with people. And I'll come back to that over and over again. But if it disappears, then all that knowledge and learning is lost. And I don't want to waste my time finding again. So this is one way that I can save that content and information. Okay, moving on to the next. So probably the most common way, especially if you are just starting out with Zotero, you're probably not new researchers, especially since there's so many of you coming from the Faculty of Grad Studies. You probably have a folder or folders that already contain PDF documents in them. You can actually drag and drop those PDFs directly from that folder into Zotero, and it will try and capture as much metadata as it can find from that PDF. Now, something to keep in mind, the older the PDF, the less likely it's going to have good, solid metadata, so that author title, source information. So you have to be really, really careful about checking that and making sure it's accurate. And thanks, Hal. Yes, the snapshot for the web page is saved, but also the link will also be available in the record itself. So thanks for that reminder, Hal. So let's go grab a PDF to try and download, and then just import that into our Zotero. So again, you can click on examples to try, or when you're on the Zotero workshop page, click on drag and drop PDFs. The steps are here for you to follow. And I'm going to pick on this one by Alon, How to Choose a Good Scientific Problem, which is a great article, by the way. They both are pretty good, but I like this one. And I'm going to download, first I'll accept all cookies, and I'm going to download the particular PDF. So I just have to find it. Where is it? Oh, okay, I saw it. There we go, PDF right up here. I'll click on that. It's going to show me the PDF, and now I'm going to download it. I'm going to download it onto my desktop, and I'll just do that and hit save. It'll make it easier for me to find. You might have a folder that already has PDFs existing in it that you might want to use as an example. And now I'm going to go into my Zotero, and I'm going to drag and drop that PDF document into here. So I'm going to open up my Finder. Of course, it's opened up across I'm on a Mac, and I have multiple windows open. So excuse me while I kind of resize things a little bit. Okay. There's the PDF that I want, and I'm going to literally, not try and rename it, drag it, and I'm going to drop it into Zotero. So what's going on in the background here? The PDF was brought in, and then a couple of things happened. One, it brought in the PDF. Two, it gathered whatever metadata it could from the PDF. And three, it put it all in here. So it identified it as a journal article, put in the title, the author, the publication, volume, issue, pages, and the date, which is what is needed when you're doing a citation for this particular thing. Also included is a URL, the DOI number, which can be useful, and a variety of other information. And then there's the PDF itself. Now, so that's dragging and dropping PDFs. You can import articles from an article database. This is known as an RIS file. Those of you who've been in library sessions where, actually, maybe give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if you've been to a library session and someone has talked to you about exporting citations in RIS files. We'll see. Oh, most of you knew. Not a lot. Okay. Let's see. If you want to participate, just go to menti.com and use the code to join. Okay. So you can, from any of the databases in the University of Manitoba libraries, you can export all the citations from a particular search or selected citations from a particular search into an RIS file and then import them into Zotero. Once you've got them exported, every database is a little bit different, so you might want to talk to a librarian about that possibility. Then you would go into Zotero File and then click on Import. And then from there, you'll get this little folder. Where do I want to import from? This is saying RIS, where you click on Continue. And that will allow you to download and install the RIS. So that's, if you're talking thousands of citations or hundreds of citations, that's a great way of getting content in. But it doesn't include the PDFs, which is, I think, what we want, is those PDFs. But if you're talking about large volumes of citations, that's what you would use. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave you to try the example on your own. Here we have an Ovid database. This is a link to a Medline search on how to write, and you can work out how to export the RIS file and import that if you'd like to. Or you can talk to a librarian, but I don't think too many of you will end up using that particular method. It's usually the Zotero connector and the PDF drag and drop that you use to get content in. You can also import references manually. Thanks, Hal, for the 15-minute warning. This is the last one I'm going to add in because, especially for our colleagues out at the Fort Garry campus, a lot of you will be using book materials. And I don't know about you, there's nothing that bothers me more than actually having to type in all the citation information into a citation manager for a book. And there's a way easier way to do that, and it's called the Magic Wand tool, which is right up here in your Zotero desktop. And you can pick what you add in. So you can add it manually using this little green plus sign, or even better, you can use this Magic Wand tool. I'm going to use the Magic Wand tool just to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to grab this is an ISBN number. So International Standard Book Number. For those of you who bought a book recently, if you flip the book over and you look on its back, it usually has a barcode. And at the top of that barcode is usually the ISBN. And that's the International Standard Book Number. So that's where I'm getting this from. If I click into my Zotero, and I'm just going to go into training, here's my Magic Wand tool right up here at the top. I click on that. I can put in my ISBN or a DOI or a PMID or any of these other standardized numbers. And once I've got that in there, I'm going to hit enter. And it's grabbed the metadata information from its collection based on the ISBN number. This is a great way to kind of shortcut getting books and content in. You can also use this and you can change this item type from book. So say you want to be specific and do a book chapter, you would use like book section. And you can add in the title of the chapter, and all the information just kind of changes place to where it's appropriate. So, and you can add author of the book, or editors of the books, and so forth. So that's that. I want to spend time on using this software, though, with Word. First, I'm just going to see where I am in my presentation. Okay, yes. So let's talk about adding in-text citations to a document that you're working on. I've got an example Word document here. It's how to write a literature review by ChatGPT, believe it or not. And I'm going to add some citations to this because ChatGPT does this very badly. I don't know whether or not this content is good. I've had a look at it. It's not horrible. It's also not great. But I'm going to add in a citation from some of the ones that we've already added in. Okay. First off, I'm going to decide what citation style I want to use. So if I go into my document preferences here, my standard one is the American Medical Association 11th edition. This is known as a Vancouver style type of citation style, but you can pick whatever you'd like. I'm going to just to do something different, I'm going to pick the APA style, which is very common. It's the APA 7th edition. And now I am going to modify and add in a citation here. I'm going to click Add Edit Citations. And I have options here. I can start searching here. So say that article about Elan, from Elan, how to choose a good scientific problem. I'm going to click on that one, select it. You can do a search of your entire Zotero here. You can use keywords, you can use authors, you can use titles, whatever works for you. And it will apply it. Okay. Now, it's not an APA style. I think APA, you have to kind of move it to the other side of the period, but for the sake of argument, I'm just going to leave it there at the moment. Maybe I want to add in another citation down here. Another way to do that is to go into Zotero proper and pick. So I think I'm just going to move my little thing around a little bit. I go to classic view. Here, I can actually pick. So I know it's in my training folder. Oh, okay. I want to use Cooke. So I'll add that in. And now I've got the Cooke. You can also select multiple citations. So say, for example, I wanted to add another one. And I'm going to go again into classic view because I like using it. I'm going to go, I'll go to my inbox and I'll pick some from there. So I want this one, and I'm going to hold down my Shift key and select another one, and I'll click OK. And now I've got, should have multiples. Nope, it didn't take. There's another way of doing it. So if I do add citation, and let's pick another one. Just as an example, and then hit return. There. So now it's got it sorted. So I've added in my citations, and now I want to add in my bibliography. I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom and type in bibliography. And then just below that, now I'm going to edit my bibliography. It's going to base this off of my APA style and put it in. So that is how you get content in. If you decide at some point that you want to change your style, all you have to do is go up to Document Preferences, and I can change it to back to my American Medical Association 11th edition, AMA style. This is a numbered style, so it shows up here. You can see all the little subcharacters, and then down in my bibliography, all the numbers are appropriate, which makes life so much easier. Okay, so that's bibliographies, changing citation style. Okay, I'd like to go through annotating PDFs in Zotero, but I don't really have time to do that today. On the Zotero workshop page, you can find, oh, I didn't add in annotating. I will add in some information about annotating PDFs there, and hopefully you will find that helpful. But basically, you can highlight text, you can add notes, and you can choose colors. And a lot of this relates to whether and how you organize your thoughts with regards to research. So I wish I had a little more time, but I don't, unfortunately. Just a final word about storage costs. With your free account and Zotero, you get access to 300 megabytes of storage for references and PDFs. To give you an idea of how much that is, I have a free account, and I've got 770 citations and a significant number of PDFs associated with them. So it's not bad. If you get pushed to add more money for storage, what you can expect to see is for 2 gigabytes, it's $20 US per year, which is not horrible. 6 gigabytes is $60 per year, and unlimited is $120 per year. So Hal has popped the workshop evaluation in the chat. I've provided links here to the Zotero Researcher Workshop Guide that we've been using, a very broad guide on library citation software, but you can always email me or my colleague Hal, or make an appointment with your local librarian or one of us to learn more about Zotero and see how we can kind of support you in developing your own research workflow and using this software. So I'll leave the floor open to questions, and I have a bit of time. I've got about 4 minutes, so maybe I can get 1 or 2 questions through. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like me to answer? Anything burning that I could be helpful with?
There was a question, Carol, about using YouTube links for videos.
Yes. Actually, I do that all the time. So, if you go onto YouTube, you will see that it almost looks like it's got a couple of old-fashioned bells on it, kind of, sort of. But you can do that. If you look in my inbox, you will see here, this is a video. So searching the literature systematically, it's a video that I did, and it's on the University of Manitoba Library's website, but there's also these other videos that I've captured. And it will capture information about the director, the abstract if it's available, any outline materials, and you can augment this with anything that you find useful. So yeah, I use this all the time. I love it to be able to provide direction and support to people I'm helping out. Any other questions?
Yeah, one more here. I'm well over my storage limit. How do I get rid of PDFs I no longer need?
So what you might want to do is send me an email directly. I can be reached at carol.cooke, that's C-O-O-K-E, so C-A-R-O-L, no E, .cooke, C-O-O-K-E, at umanitoba.ca. And there is a way that you can set up Zotero to just link to PDFs. So if you already have cloud storage, I've got iCloud, others have Google Drive, some have the Microsoft OneDrive, some have Dropbox. There's a bunch of ways that you can kind of cheat, kind of sort of Zotero, and get it to store links to PDFs rather than the PDFs themselves. So you can look at that video, Zotero and the Zot file extension, and that will be helpful. For the bibliography list on Word, do we have to manually order the bibliography entries alphabetically? Zotero takes care of all of that for you, depending on the citation style you use. So whether it's a numbered style, it will take care of numbering things for you. Whether it has to be styled alphabetically in order by author, it will take care of that for you. So yeah, you don't have to manipulate that. Once the bibliography is just put in, let Zotero take care of that for you.
There was a question about inserting the bibliography onto Word. So that was...
So, just as a quick reminder, what you can do is on your document, you can just go to it, type references or whatever you'd like, and it's right here in the Zotero. So you should, in your Word, have a Zotero tab. And in that tab, so when you click on it, you probably are going to end up looking at something that looks like this. Look for the Zotero tab, and then add edit bibliography. I'm not going to do it because I've already got it kind of downloaded here, but this is where you just click on add edit bibliography and it will automatically import it. But you need to have some citations in your document before it will add it in.
And there was, how do we, yeah. Okay, and just a reminder that you can get that plugin from the Zotero websites to put that
Yes.
into Word.
Yes, absolutely. But it should come through with your Zotero installation. But if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, again, you can reach out via email, and if you need instructions on how to push that to your Word, you can certainly do that. And this will be the last question because I actually have another meeting I have to get to. Oh, okay. Looks like lots of people have questions. Okay. Um, and yeah, thanks for the prompt, Hal. You can always send us both emails. Hal is hal.loewen, Loewen at umanitoba.ca. I'm Carol Cooke, so CAROL.COOKE at umanitoba.ca. You can also type our names in and the umanitoba into Google, and you should find us. Oh, thanks, Hal. I appreciate that. So Hal's got his email in the chat, and thanks so much for spending time with me today. Again, please send us all your questions, and I will try and get this video up as soon as I can afterwards.